Hello everyone and welcome to our Talk and Play podcast where we talk about serious and funny subjects while we play retro video games.
Yes, and today we will be talking about the ocean. What is it? I don't know. What's in it? Nobody knows. But you're gonna find the frick out.
So without further ado, let's blow your knowledge load. I find this subject really interesting, especially since you want to do it, since you have a very big fear of the ocean.
Why the hell would I want to do it when I'm scared of it? I think you've already beat this.
Have I?
Yeah. So, I have what is known as thalassophobia, which is being scared of like wide open water and potentially what's underneath the surface that you can't see. And it just scares the bonkers out of me because I am a strong and also not strong believer of there being crazy crap down there.
Which there kind of is.
Well, yes, just like I'm like, you know, the Kraken and megalodons and stuff. I mean, who knows? Anything can happen, but I don't think they do exist. But that doesn't mean I'm not scared of them.
There's always an air of mystery when it comes to the ocean. Like you were telling me about the bloop.
Oh yes, the bloop. So, I mean, I used to research all kinds of scary stuff in the ocean, which I don't know why I did it because it just made me even more scared of the ocean. But what the bloop was in 1997, there was this sound that scientists record underwater. So they have these underwater microphones that they put, and they kind of place them throughout the ocean to record sounds like underwater volcanic activity or earthquakes or what. Wow, you're animated. Or underwater whatever. And they named this one the bloop. And it was this noise that was so loud that it couldn't belong to anything that they know, any living thing that they know of. Scientists, that is. And they didn't know what it was. And so it wasn't until like 7 years... Oh, I already beat all that. It wasn't until like 7 years after the fact that they figured out what it actually was, as they added more
better things.
Sonar equipment underground and whatnot. And of course, in that 7 years, I mean, you get like the cryptozoologists and stuff that kind of figured out or got a hold of it essentially. And then once they get a hold of it, well, now it's, you know, some kind of gigantic prehistoric monster that lives under the sea and that kind of stuff. So, oh dear. So all that kind of stuff came into play then. But then they figured out what it actually was 7 years later when, after adding some more sonar stuff, they figured out it was an underwater ice quake. I think on the Antarctic ice shelf is what it was. And yeah, so it was just, that's what it ended up being. Nothing crazy, but just, I don't know, it's kind of crazy to think about because things are underwater, like so unknown. It took scientists, like, they got the sound, but it took them 8 years to figure out what it actually was.
Yeah.
Just because it's such a big place and, like, who the heck knows? Oh, crap, I forgot to bring up the subjects. Yeah.
It's funny that you bring up the unknown because I'm not sure if you remember it or not, but there was this incident where, was it a shark that had a bite taken out of it?
I think it was a great white shark.
Yeah, and it was a massive bite, and as far as they knew, there was also nothing out there that could have eaten. Oh, that's what it was. The shark had a collar on it or something where they could tell where it was.
Oh yeah,
and then they seen it get dragged down.
That's right. I remember hearing about that.
A great white shark, which, how long are they? Like 15 meters?
They can get up pretty big. Yeah, they can get up to like 30, 35 feet.
Oh yeah, definitely not 15 meters. That's a big ass.
Well, I mean, maybe. I can't remember what like the biggest one out there is, but
so that's just one instance of, you know, the unknown is out there. The actual percentage for what we know of the ocean is probably pretty low. And a perfect example of that was actually that tsunami that washed up all of those unknown species up on land there.
Yeah, so like the tsunami over in the Philippines, I'm sure everybody heard about it. It was a really big thing that happened. And then after the tsunami, they were doing cleanup, and then all of a sudden they're finding all these You have to use the up and down to switch. You have a little blue dot on the left side that shows where you're showing. So after this, like they're doing the cleanup, and then they're finding all these species of fish that they've never seen before. There's just all this crazy stuff that was washed up, and so like these are all a lot of these fish that were found were usually like from really deep places. Like right around there's the Mariana Trench. And I mean, off that coast, there's a lot of other deep spots, but yeah, the Mariana Trench obviously is the most famous because it's the deepest place on Earth, the Challenger Deep. Nice. The Challenger Deep is the deepest place on Earth. I think it's 10.8 kilometers deep, which, I mean, that alone is mind-boggling to think about. 10.8 kilometers deep.
Yeah.
That's, if you take Mount Everest and you put it in the Challenger Deep, it will be, I think it's only like 2/3 to 3/4 the size of the Challenger's Deep. So you could fit the whole, you could fit all of Mount Everest and then like a lot more in there. It's just crazy to think about. But then you think about these, what's at the bottom of there? Because I mean, yeah, we've explored almost nothing in the ocean, but then these like really deep places that are hard to get to, just because they're so deep. Oh, I didn't even know there was a bonus up there.
Like the pressure is one of the biggest portions of that, is because you can't send anything down there, or else it's gonna get crippled.
But then, like that alone, then you think about, the fact that it's thousands of times higher pressure than there is at sea level, and for things to exist there, they have to be adapted to that pressure.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty crazy thinking about it just in itself.
That is.
God, come on, you mother.
Some of those fish, though, like, they look like they've been in the dark for a very long time.
Well, see, that's the thing about... Oh, okay. That's the thing about down there, is that... Yeah, I'm not even going to bother doing that. That's a pain in the ass. Is that there's no light down that deep, so you'll find that a lot of the species that live down there are... They'll either be translucent, meaning that their skin is, like, see-through, or they'll be just, like, black. They have no pigment in their skin... Just that kind of stuff, just because of the light not being down there, that they've adapted to either be translucent, and if they want to attract other fish, they have to be kind of shimmery with what little light there is down there. Or you find a lot that are, actually produce their own light because they need to be able to attract other fish down that deep. So, like, you find, like, the anglerfish.
Which I find that to be one of the most interesting fish, because it is a very, very perfect example of evolution and Darwin, because it's so dark down there. You know, they supply a light source, and it's gonna, like, the rest of the fish are gonna notice it, like, instantly. It's something that I do find very interesting in that regard, because they literally evolved to have something, one of the only things that would help them lure in prey.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know what that is, it's a scary looking mother fudger, because they got huge fangs, like big scary teeth, but they have a little bulb at the end that comes off their forehead, and at the end they can actually make it glow like a little light bulb almost. And because of that, then they lure fish in and then close to their mouth, and then they grab them.
Because you know the fish see it and they're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, what the hell?
There's a light down here. And all the fish look depressed. Yeah. Like, they all have depression.
I mean, I would be too. You're never out in the sun, right?
Yeah.
So, like, one of the fish that was washed up in the... Oh, God, Dustin. In the tsunami, it was the blobfish, and he just looks like a sad, grumpy old man. He's like, wow, I'll put up a picture of that. But he looks just disgusting, and he's kind of see-through, kind of blobby. He just looks gross. So yeah, there's like blobfish. There's a prehistoric shark that they found called the frill. I think it's called the frilled shark. Yeah, but that one's like millions of years old. But it's just crazy. Some of the stuff that is out there that we still find new species all the time in the ocean, just because it's such an unexplored place.
What's sad though is, yeah, there's all of these species, but at the same time, at the rate that we're going at, we may never see these species because we might kill them.
Well, yeah, I mean, surely everybody knows about or at least heard about all the freaking garbage that we're just throwing into the oceans, right?
Yeah, it's interesting that it was in the Pacific, right? Where
I think there's 5 different ones. One of the biggest one is in the Pacific, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, there's just a big area of floating garbage that is 3 times the size of France or twice the size of Texas. Just free floating garbage sitting in the middle of the ocean. And the reason it gets stuck there is because there's like currents all around that kind of cycles all the garbage into one place. Come on. Yes! Cycles all the garbage into one place and it really can't escape because of it. So it just collects in this big area. And there's just that much garbage there. Like, it's disgusting to think about that we're just doing that. And one of the other things about the Marianas Trench is I was just reading an article about one guy that went down not long ago. I think he was only the 3rd person to have ever gone down that deep. James Cameron, I think, was also one of them. The famous movie maker of like Titanic and Avatar stuff.
He actually did that?
Yeah.
That wasn't a South Park thing?
No. Yeah, that's why they made this, because he actually went down there.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so this other guy went down there and he actually found garbage at the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
What?
Like he found a plastic bag and then I think some other plastics down there. Yeah. At the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
That's pathetic.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That we have garbage 10.8 kilometers under the ocean.
Maybe it wasn't us.
Yeah, it's fish garbage.
Yeah.
Fish garbage. They're plastic bags.
Everyone knows that fish are pigs.
Of course.
But at the same time, when you're talking about the garbage and whatnot in the ocean, I know a lot of people will say, "Hey, we're killing off all the trees and all the oxygen out there," but what a lot of people don't realize, or maybe they just don't remember, is that the ocean and the algae and a lot of that, it also supplies a lot of the oxygen for the world.
More than I think the oceans. I don't know why you're always changing.
Because it changes when I'm moving.
The ocean produces more oxygen than like all the trees are. Like all the algae in the ocean, they produce more oxygen than the trees. And then we're just gonna fill the ocean with all this garbage and pollute it and do all that kind of stuff. And then so we're essentially just. It seems like we just really want to get rid of all our oxygen. We don't want oxygen. We hate oxygen. Oxygen's terrible. Let's just destroy everything that makes oxygen.
We're done.
we're not the smartest species, that is for sure. But yeah, it's just kind of funny how, and I mean it's a solvable problem. I've seen some plans that people have come up with that are low cost that they could use to clean up these gigantic garbage patches in the ocean, and it wouldn't even take that long. But it's just a matter of putting the money and the effort in to go do it.
Yeah, which a lot of people aren't going to do. And something I've never understood is when it comes to the ocean or the rest of the environment, everybody's willing to bitch about it. And Ireland actually recently, what did they do? They called it climate change emergency or whatever the hell it's called. I can't remember what it is. And then they signed a bill to open up a bunch of oil stations. Like, we're willing to say, hey, there's a problem, but we're not willing to say, ooh, we're not going to put the money towards that.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody else, there's a problem. Do something about it.
Yeah.
We are not going to do anything about it, but you do something.
It's China.
Well, I mean, you have a place that big, yeah, of course they're contributing probably a lot.
I just think it's funny that that's Trump's response every single time. Well, China is the problem.
Except isn't he kind of like buddy-buddy with China?
Oh, who knows with that guy?
Anyways, we're not talking about China and Trump here. We're talking about the ocean. But yeah, I don't know. I know there was one last thing we wanted to talk about, and that was, I guess it's not too old now, that they kind of think that they might know where the Earth's oceans came from. So underneath the Earth's crust, in the mantle, which is kind of surrounding the core, they have essentially found an ocean. It's not an ocean that we would think about it, but it has 3 times more water than all of the Earth's oceans put together right now. 3 times as much. So they're thinking that is where the Earth's oceans came from, is this water seeping out of this area around the Earth's core. And now it's not straight up big oceans like we would see on the surface. What it is this rock called ringwoodite, which is filled with water. And essentially what it does is it kind of like sweats out this water, leaks out this water, and then that water makes its way to the surface, or, you know, through volcanic activity or earthquakes, these rocks can be pushed out kind of to the surface, where then it leaks this water out and then fills the oceans. And that's kind of why they think that the oceans remain kind of at a constant level, is because they're constantly being fed by these water rocks. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool, and they think that it may have been put there by like
aliens.
Well, kind of like comets and asteroids that are filled with this rock. They may have hit the Earth and then make these huge deposits.
Like how does it produce water though? Is one of the like it just excretes water?
Yeah, like I said, it like essentially sweats water out.
Interesting. So that could be responsible for the creation of all the oceans.
Yeah, and it could also, you know, they could maybe look for this type of rock on another planet, and that would allow them to say, hey, there's a source of water there too.
Yeah, that's or you know, if you wanted to colonize a planet, you could even put those.
You could
deposits
bring your
on
rock,
Mars,
yeah, whatever.
Bring your rock. We need some water.
Yeah, hold on, let me get my rock. Well, anyways, that was kind of what we wanted to discuss, and we'll leave her off there.
Yeah, if you guys have anything to add or something you want to know about the ocean or something that we missed, please leave it in the comments below.
Or if you believe in prehistoric dinosaurs still living out there. There might be.
Maybe.
Anyways.
Okay.
Anyways.
We'll catch you in the next one.
See you guys later.
Bye.